Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Booktube Chicks Book Club live show for the month of April. We read Brightly Burning by Alexa Dunn, so this is what we're going to be chatting about for the next hour or so. Um, if you've never been to one of our live shows before, the way we do this is for the first 10 or so minutes, it's going to be initial thoughts and spoiler free. We just chat about the ratings and whatnot. And then we go into a more spoiler filled discussion. As usual, I am here with Desiree and Kathleen. And Kat, would you like to go ahead and start with a synopsis?
Sure. So, Brightly Burning it's a sci-fi book set in space. It's more romance than sci-fi. So, for those of you who are more of a romance reader, this is definitely a sci-fi book you can really enjoy. It's about this girl named Stella, and she's on this ship called the Stalwart. I don't know how to really pronounce it, but it's a ship that's basically, it's a very poor ship. It's very poor people who live there. They ration everything. They ration water. They ration the food just because it's just poor workers in a ship that doesn't make a lot of money. And she decides that she wants more. So she decides to apply for jobs amongst other ships, and she gets a job to be the governess at this other ship called the Rochester. And basically there she'll be teaching this one little girl and taking care of her and things like that. It's a very small ship, only about 5 people in the entire ship, but it's a ship that she's not accustomed to because it's a rich ship. So she doesn't have rations. She eats pretty amazing food. She doesn't have to worry about running out of rations during the middle of the week or day. So it's a pretty good step up from what she's been living. And of course, it's not perfect. Apparently, the ship is haunted. And there she also begins to get close to the captain of the ship. And so that's basically the premise of this book. As for my thoughts, I initially was very, very, very excited to read this book because it is sci-fi, and I love sci-fi books set in space. But this book definitely did not live up to my expectations. I actually don't really like it. I ended up rating this book a 2-star. I have no problems. I had problems with this book in general. First off, it didn't, to me personally, didn't seem there was a lot of a big plot point. A huge part of the book, especially the first half, is more her getting close to the captain, and it was really boring for me personally. And I also found the romance to be very cringy sometimes. And I'll talk about that later, give more spoilery details as to why I found it cringy. I also, in the second half of the book, I found Stella, she gained like tunnel vision. She was only focused on what she wanted. And I felt like she became very selfish, and she didn't really concern herself with what other people, what's best for other people. And I thought I really didn't like her in the second half of the book. So those are my reasons, my very spoiler-free reasons as to why I did not like this book very much. And I'm very disappointed because I was really excited about this book.
I think it's also worth mentioning that this is like a retelling or reimagining of Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, which, like, you know, I have no idea what that book is about. And so I asked Alexa last night. I was like, hey, Alexa, what's Jane Eyre about? And so she started reading me like the wiki page, and it sounded super interesting. And she mentioned that it was like, it's a romance that's often compared to Pride and Prejudice. Like, it's on that level of like acclaim, I guess, which I thought was interesting. As far as my initial thoughts, it did seem very divided. Like, the first half was about the romance, and then the second half was like more thrillerish, sci-fi, I guess you could say. And I wish that it had been more mixed, like not like half and half. I wish like both things could have occurred a little bit more organically together so that things I don't know. So it would have felt more like a sci-fi and a romance as opposed to like half of it being one and half of it being the other. Because when the sci-fi elements started to kick in, I was like, wait, what's happening? What's happening? And I was just like, why aren't we hearing more about Hugo? I want to know what's going on with him. So I did like the romance aspect of it. It really makes me want to read the Jane Eyre. And that's kind of what my initial thoughts are.
What did you rate it?
I don't know. I was simmering on that. It was somewhere between a 3 and a 4.
So for my initial thoughts, I've actually read from Alexa Donne before, but it was her sophomore novel, which is set in the same universe. So I didn't really know much about the connections between the two books, except for like one last name was the same. So I went into this, already knowing what the universe was kind of like, but not really knowing what to expect from this book, especially because this was her first book that was released before The Stars We Steal. So I actually fell in love with this book for about 75% of it. And then without spoilers, when the sci-fi element part kicked in, that's when it started to go downhill for me, but not because it was sci-fi, but because the way it didn't flow very well, or it didn't flow in a way that I wanted it to. Because this was on track to be like 5 stars for me, and then the way the ending went kind of just bumped it down to a 4. I'm not satisfied with the ending, but I mean, it is what it is. I've never read Jane Eyre before, and I remember I was talking to Desiree while reading it, and I kind of get like different like fairy tale vibes almost in different scenes though. But that, I guess that's more of a spoiler thing. But I don't know. So I gave it 4 stars. I enjoyed most of it until it got towards the last quarter of it, and then it kind of went downhill for me. So I guess we'll go ahead and go into spoilers. What do we want to talk about? I didn't write any questions down this time. I forgot.
Is that you? Like messing?
What?
Rustling? I think it is. Because my mic's up here. So.
Okay.
That might be my hair. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, there's a lot of rustling going on.
Sorry, I forget to put in the wrong side that has the mic on, so then it goes down by my hair or something and catches like whatever sound is going on down there.
You sound so much clearer now. Yes.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, I'm not used to these headphones. Anyway, what do we want to talk about? Mm-hmm.
Can we start with the cover? Because it looks like there's 2 covers. Kat, you have an arc?
Yes.
Where'd you get the arc from?
Well, I know that this is actually the cover for the hardcover, and then what Chloe has is the cover for the paperback. So there are 2 covers. Because
I think.
Because I was looking at Amazon, and I was like, why are there 2 different covers? And this is the cover for the hardcover, the original cover, and then Chloe's cover is the paperback. I think they changed covers when the second book came out.
Yeah, because I think my ebook had Chloe's cover at one point, and then I opened it at some point and it changed, and I was like, no.
I definitely like Chloe's cover better.
Yeah.
So
I had an arc at one point. Do you remember where you got that, Kat? Because I got an arc from the same event, and I traded it. And then after I read The Stars We Steal, I regretted trading it.
I remember.
I remember you got this
2008. This was a 2018 release. Was that when we went to we went to
New York in 2019.
You're sure?
No.
Yeah. Yes, it was.
Yeah, you're right. So it was definitely or was this the one? Remember, there was that one BookNet Fest that the author came and it was like.
Yeah, and she was there.
I want to say
that's where I got
BookNet Fest.
That's where I got The Stars We Steal too. Was at BookNet Fest. Well, anyway, I regretted trading it after I read The Stars We Steal because I really liked The Stars We Steal. But yeah, I remember, Kat, you got this for me for either my birthday or Christmas or so. It was when we couldn't hang out. I just remember that. And I like this cover so much better than that one. But yeah, the fairy tale element that I was just talking about was like at one point with the whole like library, I was thinking, oh, like Beauty and the Beast. But then when she goes off ship to see her step family, I was like, oh, Cinderella, they hate her, like, right? Like this is how this works. And then Desiree, you said it was like it reminded you of Firefly, but I've never seen Firefly, so I can't make any comparisons there.
Oh, it's just basically takes place in space. It's like a space western. But Firefly's cool. Like there's just I feel like there's so much to say that I don't know what to say. Like I don't even know where to start. There were parts. I mean, it's. I feel like it's kind of hard to talk about because of the fact that it is based on Jane Eyre, and I don't know how that went. I think like I at least know that. I think the love interest in Jane Eyre is Mr. Rochester. Like that's his name. So she like changed around a lot of the names. And then like there was a ship called Wuthering Heights. Mm-hmm. Like, so what do you think? Oh, okay. Here's a thing that like kind of really threw me out of the story. How did you feel about the Harry Potter references?
It was just awkward for me, but I didn't really mind it. I was like, oh, it's there.
Yeah, I don't mind them as much because I feel like mind them as much because I feel like in older books, well, not older, but like in books from like a couple of years ago, you're probably going to get them more than you would if in like a book that's published like next year or something like that.
Right. I just felt like it was really weird because here we have a futuristic story based on a story way in the past. So like for it to have Harry Potter references just felt, I don't know, it just felt weird. Already bringing
I know that story. I know that they called Harry Potter a classic at some point.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming, and I mean, Harry Potter, regardless of what's going on with the author, it's extremely popular. Like 100 years from now, people are going to know what Harry Potter is and who they are. And so I'm not surprised that there's a lot of references to Harry Potter because of the magnitude of how popular it is. I mean, this book was published like what, 20 almost coming into almost 30 years ago. So the fact that they call it a classic though is like was interesting to me.
Is there anything that we could say about the individual characters? Like, is there anybody you liked a lot? Is there anybody that you didn't like? What did you think of?
I didn't like Hugo, but that's
you didn't.
I did not like Hugo. Mm-hmm. I think like in the beginning I had no problems with their romance, but towards like the middle, like before the story shifted from that like boring first half part of them just courting each other to the second half where everything just went on a completely different direction that I didn't expect. He was just like, there were certain points that he just seemed really manipulative, and I don't like that. Like, yes, she liked him and she wanted to spend time with him, but he like sometimes I felt like he took the choice away from her, but she was okay with it because in the end she wanted to spend time with him. So I found him to be very manipulative, and I didn't like him. And he just like, and I don't like how the author tried to make him seem, oh, he's, try to make him almost like in the end when we found out that he was involved in the whole creating the virus thing, the author tried to almost excuse him for it. And I was like, oh, I'm not okay with this. So I definitely do not like Hugo. I think my favorite, I don't really like any of the characters, but my favorite character would be John, her friend John. Because I just found him to be relatable, and I there were moments that he seemed like a good friend. So he was probably the only character that I was okay with.
Well, he had a crush on her, didn't he? Because that's what it seemed like to me.
Did he?
That's what it seemed like.
It was either John or George, because I get them both mixed up.
No, she had a crush on George at some point.
She had a crush on George. I don't think it was John who had a crush on her. It was someone else. Because I remember her in the beginning, she wanted to get away from him, and she's too friendly with John. for him to be the one that had a crush on her.
Okay, because I thought she was talking to John and like he was asking her about Hugo, but asking her, you know, like
I don't know. I don't remember
if she was going to be happy or so it seemed like he had an interest there.
Mm-hmm. But it did seem like he cared a lot about her, but I don't remember if he was the one who had a crush on her, like that was mentioned in the beginning of the book.
I don't know why I thought this, but I was expecting there to be a twist in the book that Stella was a robot. The whole time I was reading,
I don't know why you were expecting that either.
There was something about her. I don't know if it was her thinking or her internal monologue that sometimes just felt like it was a little naive, but naive in a robotic way, if that makes any kind of sense.
I kept thinking it was actually going to take like an Illuminae turn and like the AI system was going to start like killing people.
That would have been way more interesting than what we got. I would have taken that.
So, Kat, did you not like the first half because you just don't like romance? Or was you just felt it was like...
I just didn't like their romance. I have no problems with romance. And I was like, okay, like, you know, Chloe was saying that this is more romance than sci-fi. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I'm okay with that. But then I don't like him. Like, there was just something about Hugo, and like sometimes I feel like he manipulated situations to get what he wanted, and I don't like that. And I feel like the main character, she's too naive to even see what's been happening, and so that was just my whole problem with them. But I mean, at the time, I was just like, okay, I thought the storyline was interesting, and then it shifted to like the whole, oh my god, let's have a plot going on because there's nothing happening. The author was like, decided to have plot, and let's throw in like, oh, okay, Hugo decided to is involved in the virus making, and I was like, huh. And then like the whole book just started going downhill once they shifted.
See, like I wasn't sure what to expect because. You know, the whole time that I'm reading this, I'm trying to figure out how else it's connected to her other book since they're in the same universe. So like I'm trying to figure that out the whole time. I'm trying to figure out like, does this come before the other one? Does the other one come before this one? Like all that. And Kat, I'll say this, like since you didn't like this book, I don't recommend that you read the other one because
I'm not gonna read it. Like I was okay with reading it when it was like, to be honest, like even though I don't like the romance, I find the first half of the book to be. I like the first half of the book rather than the second half of the book, even though the first half of the book was super boring, and I was interested in reading. I was interested, like the first half of the book, I was like, okay, this book is more like a 3.5 stars for me, and then like the second half happened, whatever. But while I was reading the first half, I was like, maybe I should read the second book, even though the author described it as the Bachelorette meets whatever else that she said. But now, after that ending, I don't really want to.
See, the other book, it's a prequel, so it's more like the first half of this book, like but for the whole book. So maybe you should read it. I don't know. Where was I going with that? I had a thought and it drifted away. Okay, well, I'll come back to me, I guess.
I feel like she put in threads, and there was a lot of things to be curious about in the first half with like, the fire happening and just weird things happening on the ship that were unexplained. But I still wasn't expecting where it went for the second half.
It's like you said at the beginning, Desiree, that there was just no flow to it. Like it just seemed like, hey, let's have a courtship going on. And then the author realized, oh wait, the book is going nowhere. So let's throw in something, and then, kind of made up the whole Hugo's involved with the virus. Because
Yeah,
I
like,
was
for
like
me-
reading, I was like really reading the beginning. I was like, where is this going? Like, there's nothing happening. It's just them spending time together, flirting, not really doing anything with each other. But just like,
I'm embarrassed that I was like totally okay with all that. I wanted that to continue.
I was just like, no, like there's literally no plot. And I was just like, throw in like a triangle at this point. Like I was so
care.
bored.
I had butterflies. I was like, what's happening? What's happening?
Me too.
Oh God.
That's the thing, like, with this book, because I didn't know what to expect and I only knew what her other book was like, that's what I expected, but for the whole book was for, like, for them to remain in space. So I didn't expect, when it did that twist, to do, like, oh, there's a virus. I'm like, oh, God, this is, like, right now. And then... and then when she was like, I need to go back to, the other ship, but permanently. And then it's like, here they are farming some stuff. I'm like, what is this? Like, I was not, that's when I was like immediately turned off by it. Cause I was like, this is not how I wanted this to go.
And
then there was like,
it's not... Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, there was like so much like bouncing, like, let's go to the Lady Liberty. Let's find him. Now we have to go to Earth. Like, this is not how I wanted this book to go.
Yeah, and also, I felt not just like the disconnect from the first half to the second half of the book. I felt like the second half of the book, it just happened too fast. It's like you said, everything kept happening. Like, hey, we're gonna go to this ship. Let's go to this ship. Now we're going down to Earth. Like there was just no flow.
And then there was this
whole the second half
conspiracy to the whole thing. I was like,
and then the whole like. I'm sorry, but I find a whole plot of, hey, let's infect a whole ship just to kill people for population control. I'm like, why don't you just send them down to Earth and give them a little chance of survival? Why you gotta kill off people? Like, that's just like, if you want to kill people, just send them down to Earth. Don't waste resources to create a virus to infect people because you don't have control of that. It might transfer out to other.
Yeah, but they had a vaccine for the rich, so they didn't care. But
again, they're so concerned about resources that they actually spent resources to create the vaccine and create the virus. Why not just condemn the ship to go down to Earth? Like, sorry, hey, you lost the lottery. You're going down to Earth. At least, they have a chance of surviving. It's not their problem anymore. But I found the whole, like, I'm going to create a virus to kill off people for population control completely convoluted. It was just completely unnecessary. It was just an excuse that the author put there with no further development on it. And like I said, I felt like the second half of the book just didn't develop well at all.
I watched Endgame last night and I was really emotional. So like reading about people trying to take population control into their own hands, like I wasn't ready for more of that.
You're like, it's too soon.
It's too soon. Like, yes. Seriously.
That's how I felt with the virus part. I was like, oh God, too soon. Even though this was like 4 years old now.
I don't know. I wish I knew what I was going to rate this. I still don't know. I liked the writing though. Like her actual writing.
Yeah, I did like her writing, and I do like that the book was easy to read. Like, even though I thought the first half was boring, the second half was too much happening, I did find that the book was easily, like, I understood and I was able to keep up with the book, and I found her writing style very easy to follow along, and it flowed well for me personally. But just, I wish there was more organization to the actual plot of the book.
I agree with like the ease of reading her work. I felt that with both things that I've read by her. Like, I remember last year it was like right when everything shut down, and I'm like, I guess I'll read this. And like it was
I'm surprised you picked that up because like, it's a sci-fi book set in space, right? That's the other one. So I feel like that's not the first thing you go for when you want to read a book, right?
Well, I had the Stars We Steal from the last BookNet Fest, and I was like, okay, I want to read it before it comes out because I think I had like a month left or something like that. And the description of The Stars We Steal appealed to me more than the description of this one. So I think that's why I ended up picking up that one. But then when I read that and enjoyed it so much, I was like, well, I have to read the other one.
I'm surprised. I understand what you're saying. The plot line of the other one appealed to you more, but I'm surprised you read the other one first, because you're always talking about how you like to read the books in publication order, and that book came out second.
But here's the other thing. When I read the other one, I didn't know they were connected. So I found that out later on. And then I think I told you guys in the chat that the other one is set 40 years before the events of this one.
Right.
So at least I found some sort of connection or something to work with.
Is the other one also some kind of retelling?
It's marketed as a retelling of Persuasion, but people say it's not, like in the reviews. I've never read Persuasion, so I couldn't tell you either way.
There were a lot of people who said that this wasn't Jane Eyre at all either. This wasn't a Jane Eyre retelling at all either. But then again, I have not read the books. I have no idea how close it is to being a Jane Eyre retelling.
Yeah, for the other book, it, like, when they say it's The Bachelor in Space, like, yes, but no. It's like it's not like it's only like The Bachelor in the sense where there's matchmaking concerned. It's not like The Bachelor because it's like a bunch of guys and a bunch of girls, not just like one guy or one girl and like a bunch of, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. So there's kind of like The Bachelor, but I've also never seen The Bachelor either.
Okay. Yeah. I see where somebody's saying it's not like Persuasion.
I'm trying to look up, like, I mean, I still can't say yes or no to that.
I don't know. I don't know why I always feel bad like rating something 3 stars, because 3 stars is not a bad rating.
Wait, you feel bad when you rate a book 3 stars?
Always.
Why?
Because it's so middle of the road.
Huh?
It's so middle of the road. Like, I'd almost rather hate something or love something as opposed to it was good.
It was okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, sometimes there's just those books that are just like,
I mean, unless it's that.
On it.
I mean, unless it's that author. What's her name? The one that's getting all the flack.
Wait, you mean the one who's
Lauren Huff, whatever her name is? I'm pretty sure most authors will be happy with a 3-star. So
they'll be like, I'll take it. Can't find any like book club questions about this. See, I think I said it in, because I was reading this for a secret TBR too, and I'm editing that video right now. And I said it in one of those clips. I was like, if there's a sci-fi that's like this, I'll take it. So, like, I really like Illuminae. I like this. I like her other book. I need more of this, kind of.
What did you think about, like, the whole thing with his mom? Because I feel like that was very anticlimactic. I felt like
it was so dumb. She was there, and then the next scene she dies, and I'm like, what was the point of her?
Well, obviously someone had to cut off Stella's hair.
Oh God! I was like,
I love how it was like she cut her hair, and then the Sergey guy fixed her hair, and then it was never mentioned again. And I was like I feel like the author kept throwing in these little like details in these moments, and they're never mentioned again. And it's like, what was the point then? And I get like the mother had something to do with the virus making, like I think she was like, her husband created, like, it was she had some kind of illness or something, and she was on an experimental drug, and that's why she went psychotic. And I don't know.
He made her some kind of concoction that he thought would help her anxiety.
Yeah. So.
Oh, okay. That's why I was a little confused on why she suddenly became like this and why she killed the dad, but I wasn't like fully sure on why that happened.
But she killed the dad, the husband, because he was the one who created the virus, and she found out about it. Mm-hmm. But the fact that she had this anxiety and these psychotic outbreaks, whatever, probably didn't help.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's the other thing I wanted to touch on. The mystery element that was kind of like sprinkled in until we discovered that it was the mom.
I knew it though. I knew it.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was one of the cats, and I thought like the cats were just like the giggling. I thought it was in the beginning. The giggling, I thought it was Jessa playing a prank on the new governess, and then like all the other weird stuff happening. I thought it was just the cats. But
yeah, I wasn't really sure what to think of the element, because like normally I don't care for like mystery aspects in books, but it wasn't really that much of a mystery. It was more of like, why is the ship supposedly haunted?
The minute somebody, I don't know if it was Hanada, it might have been Hanada, said to Stella, you should ask him what he's hiding. Like the minute that was said, I was like, his mom's still alive. He's hiding.
I did not make that connection.
I kind of like, on the topic of like side characters, I really, really liked Sergei. Is that how you say it?
Sergei? The driver guy, the guy who transports people?
Yes, because in my brain I was like, this is Sacha Baron Cohen. Like if you like fan cast it, this is him. But like with his accent from Borat. Yeah, I really liked him. And is it Zhao? Is that how you pronounced her name?
I think so.
That's how I pronounced it in my head. I liked the two of them as like as side characters, and like their little like one-off romance that wasn't really wasn't really delved into.
I feel like personally, I think this book had a lot of potential. And someone gave a 3-star and was like, this was not bad, but you can tell that it's a debut author. And I was like, that's exactly how I feel about this book. It's not bad, but you can tell that the author has a lot to improve, especially for me personally, especially in organizing your story. There's just like the beginning is just too slow moving. There's not a lot happening. And then the second half, you just bombard us with so much stuff happening. Like the mom is alive. The mom is the ghost. And her son was involved in creating this virus that kills millions of people. And then you got to go to other ships, and then you got to go down to Earth. But is Earth habitable? There's just so much happening on that second half of the book that.
Was he involved? I thought he wrote her a whole letter explaining how he wasn't involved.
He knew about. I don't know. I don't really. To be honest, at that point, I was just so pissed with the whole book. I was just like, stop paying attention. Because
I don't think,
regardless of whether he was actively involved or not, he knew about it. And I just personally like feel like it's kind of like when someone kills another person, even if you weren't the one who pulled the trigger, you're still an accomplice. So that's how he was. He wasn't the one who pulled the trigger, but he knew about it, and that's just not okay.
I mean, he allowed it to happen because he was trying to protect his mom, because the fact they were hiding her, essentially.
But then again, it's like the one moment that Stella was actually a grown-up and mature about it. She was like, you're willing to risk hundreds of people's lives for your mom, and she like threw it in his face, like, your mom would not want this. Your mom was the one who killed your father for doing this. So why are you doing the same thing in her name? And I was just like, yes, Stella, someone has some kind of like common sense finally in this whole book.
But I still feel like, I mean, we talked about this briefly, that the romance, it was like, at first it was slow and it was developing, and the next thing you know, they kiss and they're engaged, and it was just like,
I'm not gonna lie. I was like, that was how I was like, okay. I was like, I kept saying, when is something gonna happen? And then that happened. I was like, okay, I didn't mean that for things to happen that quickly. Okay.
But like, she was engaged, she was ready to spend her whole life with him, and then she found that out, and she was just like, peace, goodbye, I'm out. Like, it didn't feel like she stopped to, I don't know. It just,
what reminded me of how that scene was actually what reminded me of how young these characters are, because she's literally 17 and she's ready to get married to this one person she doesn't know anything about, and then she finds out this major thing about this person and she's ready to leave. And I was like, this is why you don't get married to someone you literally just met. Okay. I'm just like seriously, like I just like that whole scene just made me realize just how young Stella is. And while she does have a good heart and sometimes she has these moments of maturity, she still has a lot of growing up to do.
I just felt like there would have been a little bit more back and forth mentally, whether it would have been her asking him more questions or trying to persuade him to do something else, or like, but she just packed up her shit and left. So that just felt kind of, I mean, obviously we're talking about killing lots of people too, but I don't know.
I will
it seemed
say, though,
she just turned off her emotions and she just kind of moved on.
Gotta keep the plot point going. Come on. You gotta get to that crazy second half of the book.
Oh,
I think Chloe froze.
I think so. That's unfortunate. And then they just like, so he wrote that letter, right? And he was like, I have to be honest with you because I don't want you to think these bad things about me. And then they just kind of like tossed him away. Why did he end? They punished him, right? That's why they sent him to Earth.
Is that what happened, or did he escape?
No, I think he had bargained for the lives of like other people on his ship. And he said,
because
they gave him a choice. They said either you're going to jail for like hiding the fact that your mom is alive, or you can go to Earth and try to live your life there. Because I guess they didn't expect it to still be inhabitable at all.
Mm.
And then he was all messed up, I guess, maybe because he tried to save his mom in the fire. Well, Chloe lost her internet.
I'm reading the letter that he gave to her.
I think he basically says it was Hanada that was making the virus, but she hadn't intended to use it the way it's being used. It was Mason that took it from her.
Oh, okay, yeah. See, I don't believe she intended to cause harm. Mason threatened her parents just as he threatened mine. I mean, to be honest, I get it, because if it was me in her place, and like me being, I'm very, very close to my parents. If someone threatened my parents, I probably would do whatever they asked me to. And however, I guess, like I said, I guess I can't judge because I can't see myself doing the exact same thing that she would. But I don't know what I would do in that place, because I don't know if I could live with myself knowing whether I caused my parents' death or hundreds of people's deaths. You know what I mean? So it's a tough situation to be in. So in part, I guess I could say I understand what she did and why he did what he did, because I'm sure it's it is hard.
I'm not sure
choosing your mom over everyone else, or choosing everyone else over your mom.
Right. I'm not sure I understood what Mason's motivation was the whole time. Like, was he just somebody that worked in the government?
I think so. I'm not sure. I think so. So at one point in the story, it said that he came to the Rochester, whatever it's called. He went there to get the virus. But I guess he worked for the government. He has a title. I forgot where it said what his title was and what branch of the government he worked for, but he does work for the government.
The space government. Oh.
And I find interesting that they all like orbit Earth, and they have this technology, this amazing technology to keep life in space. Why the author never really ventured into perhaps the crew trying to establish a colony in a different planet, or even on the moon, whatever, instead of living out their lives on a ship that's not, and some of those ships aren't even sustainable. They have to have rations, and even then they're trying to kill people to conserve resources. And I find that whole like killing people off to conserve resources just really, really weird. I feel like there should have been a different solution.
Well, I mean, from what Alexa was telling me yesterday, she said that, a lot of the story had to do with class, right? So they said there was a second ice age on Earth, and that's why nobody was really living on Earth at the time. That's why they were in ships. And I think they were just trying to let Earth pass through that ice age before they decided to try to return to it. They weren't sure if enough time had passed.
Do you remember if the book said how long they have been in space?
I don't remember. But, I think you definitely see the conversation about class, right? Because only the rich people had access to the vaccines. And from the first page, you see that the stalwart is breaking down. They're having rations. They're like the laborers, as part of the space system, because they were where all the other ships were getting their crops and their food. So
there was talking about class, there were a few examples that Alexa put in the book about the difference between classes and the privilege between classes, and that I found to be super interesting, and that really kind of almost mirrors what's happening in our life. Like, for example, her cousin Charlotte, even though her family are jerks, the fact that she, in order to get inherit her unit within the ship, that she had to go to the another ship, sign forms in order to inherit what is rightfully hers, and she didn't have the money to be able to go to the other ship, and so essentially she would lose her inheritance. And I thought that was super interesting, because it's kind of like I kept thinking about how the election, and how there were some towns that literally closed all of the election sites except for one. So literally people had to flock to this one election site in order to vote. And then if the voting closed, thousands of people would not have, even if they stood in line all day, would not have been able to cast their vote. And that's just like what's the word, gatekeeping or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's exactly what's happening to her. They're trying to keep her from getting something that she rightfully deserves, kind of like with the election. These people have a right to vote, and they were trying to keep them from doing that. So I did like the examples of like class discrimination that the author put in the book, and I thought it was really interesting. And I was so pissed off for Charlotte, and I was kind of happy that Stella was there to let her, give her the money so that she could travel, sign the forms, and really claim what's rightfully hers, even though it was completely unfair. She shouldn't have to have done that in the first place. And I can imagine, like, in this world, how many people lost possessions that were rightfully theirs because they didn't have the money to make it have to meet the ridiculous demands. But that, you know, that was like pretty much the one thing that I really, really liked about the book.
Yeah, I wish she would write more in this world, like about things like that, like maybe about when they first went up to space, or you know, like the class and why this government is like that. And I want more in this world, but I don't think she's gonna write anymore. And I just have like so many. Yeah,
I was gonna say, I feel like the government is like that because people in power want to stay in power. It's kind of that simple.
Mm-hmm. I have so many questions that I want answered. I will say though that in her other book, the main character is like the niece of the person who's in power of that particular ship. So I feel like that one has like a little bit more of like an insight into, I guess, the politics of that particular ship. I can't remember which one it is. But I think that's as close as it gets.
Yeah.
Do we have any final thoughts?
That's what I was going to ask. You read my mind.
Okay, final thoughts just to confirm. Are you, I already know Chloe's answer, but Kat, are you willing to read more of Alexa Dunn's work and her work outside of like YA sci-fi?
Does she have works outside of YA sci-fi?
I think she just published, it's either coming or it's already been published, but I think a thriller that's like an academia thriller.
Oh yeah, I was actually going to say, I was just reading the synopsis for it and it sounds really good, so I was like, I'd be interested in reading it. So yeah. Anyway,
what about you, Chloe?
I mean, I'm interested in her other work, just not particularly her thriller. Because I think I'm subscribed to her YouTube channel, and I saw when she announced it. But I don't gravitate towards thrillers, so I'm probably not going to pick that one up. But I'm open to anything else that she would write, depending on what it is.
I don't know. I thought that was funny. I'm open to anything else, but not the thriller, and depending what it is.
Well, because like if she turned around and writes like a horror novel. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to read that because I don't read horror, but like I would read, like if she does another sci-fi, I would check that out, even if it's not in this world. Another sci-fi, if she does, I don't know, an adult sci-fi, a romance, a contemporary, I don't know. So far, she only has one genre.
Be published next month. Oh, 1 month from now, it's going to be published on May 25th. Her thriller. I think I'd be interested. It like I said, the synopsis, it actually sounds pretty interesting, so I'd be interested in reading that book.
I think she has another book, maybe it's a thriller, that's already been announced too. I don't know. I think I saw it on her Goodreads.
It's it's a thriller. It's a YA thriller.
It has the word murder in it, right? That's all I can remember.
Murder she texted.
Oh.
Instead of murder she wrote.
I don't like
That's cute.
I mean, I'm just curious to see how her writing has changed. Mm-hmm. Like regardless of what genre it's in, because I did enjoy her writing, so I feel like I would pick up more of her stuff.
Or like how her writing differs between like this and a different genre.
Yeah.
Do we have anything else?
Yeah, I think I would probably read her thriller, the one that's being published next, just to see how much her writing has improved. Because like someone said on their review, this is definitely a debut and it shows.
I feel like for me, the first half of the book was leaning towards a 4. But I think, taking the whole thing into consideration, I think I'm just going to land on a 3.
I thought you hated giving 3s.
I mean, I do, but like, I feel comfortable giving it a 3. Because I did like it. I enjoyed it. It's not flawless. I don't think there's anything wrong with the writing per se, but I think the structure could have been adjusted a little bit to just make the path through the story a little smoother.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, go ahead.
I agree that, you know, for a good portion of this book, I was really intrigued. It was flowing well for me, at least, with the reading pace. And then it was just when, like, right when, like, the climactic moment was supposed to be happening is when it started to go downhill for me. And I still enjoyed it, but that was kind of like a turn off, and I wasn't satisfied with the ending.
Yeah. It felt like when she wrote, like, her writing is nice, and like as we talked about earlier, it's easy to follow. It was intriguing enough where I kept wanting to read more, but the structure of the story, it just was off. First half for me personally was boring, but I surprisingly like the first half rather than the second half, and the fact that we have to talk about halves. It's sad because they're like, in this book there's a clear moment where the story just suddenly shifts, and there's like just none of this like smooth transition over to after the climax. It just kind of like it's nice and fun. It's like the first half the story is like, oh, they're reading together in his library, whatever, and then bam, they just hit you in the face. Hey, by the way, he's involved with the virus. You gotta go to different ships. Oh no, wait, he's on Earth. Let's go down to Earth.
It was like, let's get married, but wait, let me show you the dark skeletons in my closet.
But I'm not writing off even though I didn't like this book, I'm not writing off the author. I'm actually, as we discussed a few minutes ago, I'm definitely intrigued in reading her book that is coming out in May. Now it's a thriller. It's about, like Desiree said, about academia, and it just sounds interesting. I just personally, there were just issues with this book for me. Again, the flow of the story, I didn't like the love interest. The romance for me personally was awkward, and there was not a lot of redeeming qualities about the book for me personally. But again, I'm not writing off the author.
I know we were just doing like final thoughts, but we didn't talk about that poker game at all. And that poker game for me was like I was screaming. I was text screaming to Chloe, and then I was like,
it was like literally every like minute there was like a new text where she's like, what?
That whole poker game was a joke, and I was like, why is this happening?
Well, first of all, like the fact that he's like, let's play hide and seek and let's turn off all the lights on the ship, and then weird. He grabs
and that was
to hide with her against his own rules. But okay, whatever. So that happens, and then he's like, he decided what everyone was going to give up in that poker game. He was like, Bianca, if you lose, you have to give Stella her room back. And then he was like, and if I lose, then, you know, somebody can have the ship and decide what I'm, yeah, right. And somebody could decide what I do with my bachelorhood. I was like, what? What is happening?
I'm sorry, but that whole scene, I was just like, I wanted to throw the book against the wall because it was just, it was so like hide and seek, and I was like, oh my god, I see where this is going. They're gonna get stuck in the same room. He's gonna get butterflies in her stomach and blah blah blah. And then the poker game came, and I was, and then he gave the ultimatum. Oh, someone will decide whether I get married or not. And I was like, can you make yourself more obvious that you want Stella to win and decided you're not gonna get married? Like, it was just too much cheesiness for me.
That's just a change on a poker game.
And like you said, the fact that he decided what everyone else was giving up, I was like, how is that fair? Like, that's so not fair.
Like, you give up both of your tablets. The only thing the girl has worth anything. And he's like, you can give those up. But whatever.
I can't.
It was just, hold on, I want to see what I said to Chloe. Because after
it was like a series of texts.
I said in caps, I was like, he did what? He brought Bianca on the ship to make her jealous? What? And then I said, but also I hate that I like him. He was like
There's
cocky
just
and
so much
arrogant
happening.
in a kind of way. Yeah. But
It was just it went for 10 minutes that you were just like sending me so much stuff. You're like, what's happening? Y'all kill me.
anyway,
Okay, so so next month, for the month of May, I left my copy on my desk at work, but we're going to be reading The Magnolia Sword, A Ballad of Mulan by Sherry Thomas. For Kat's like, yes, I'm ready. For the month of May, our live show is going to be on Sunday, May 30th at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. I don't have much to say on it. Kat is very excited. I don't really have any expectations to going into it. To be honest, I don't either.
Yeah, I'm like, you really like Mulan though.
Yeah.
But
I did too.
I enjoy Mulan, but I don't have many expectations going into this book. I think I've only read like one other Mulan retelling. But yes, join us on May 30th for our discussion of the Magnolia Sword. And I think that's everything. Is there anything else I'm missing? Oh, when is Pages and Pals? I forgot about that too.
May 15th.
Pages and Pals, if you want to get some reading done with the three of us as well as special guests, join us on May 15th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time to do some reading sprints and get some reading done. We don't read a particular book. We just read whatever we're currently reading. And it's a good time. I always enjoy Pages and Pals.
On Kat's channel.
So yeah, on Kat's channel, yes. That one is over on Kat's channel, which is linked down below, not on this channel. But the book club live show will be on this channel. So that is all we have. And we will see you guys either at Pages and Pals or at the discussion for the Magnolia Sword. Bye.
Bye.